Steve Malzberg Show, and as promised, we are joined by the governor of the great state of Texas, Governor Rick Perry. Hello, sir.
Hey, Steve. Howdy. Good to hear you again.
Yeah, good to talk to you. You and I sat together in a studio in New York City when you had your great book on the Boy Scouts. And, boy, I thought of you all along the way as those votes were being taken and all the controversy and where the Scouts were headed. And I said, boy, we need to get Governor Rick Perry's input into this. So great to talk to you again.
Well, it is. Good to be on your program.
Well, I appreciate it. Okay, so you're going around the country, and you're pitching the state of Texas. You know, it's funny. I was just listening to a soundbite from the other day during the presidential campaign when MSNBC misrepresented what Mitt Romney was saying about a Wawa, and he brought up that Arnold Schwarzenegger put signs in his state when he was governor of Massachusetts saying, "Come to California, you business owners. We're a great state. We're business friendly." I don't know what he was talking about. And so now you're taking it on the road. You're going around the country, and you're asking people to bring their business to Texas, correct?
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you either believe in competition or you don't. We're traveling into Missouri this weekend to talk about the differences in business climate, if you will, between Texas and Missouri. They also have an effort to override their governor's veto. He vetoed a tax cut. And, Steve, I think most small businessmen and women understand that, taxes, regulations, legal environment, and accountable schools, so you have a skilled workforce. Those are the four foundations, if you will, of a strong economy. To not overtax is one of the most important ones that's on that list of people deciding whether or not they're going to expand or they're going to stay in a state, for that matter. They could relocate and have their business somewhere else. So that's kind of that's the theme, if you will, of our travels over the course of the last few years, and we've elevated it, going into California and to Illinois and to Connecticut and New York over the course of the last 6 months, and now into Missouri. And I argue that if you believe in competition, then going into a state and trying to recruit their business to your state is good for America. It's good for the fabric of this country. Now, there are some folks in Missouri, they're probably not excited about me showing up and talking about their tax structure, or their governor's probably not happy that I'm going to come into the state and draw attention to the fact that he believes in higher tax.
Well, he just vetoed a bill that would have cut taxes on individuals and businesses.
There you go. So the question for me is, do you believe in competition or do you not? And I made this point earlier in the day on another interview. I said, I bet Gary Pinkel, who's the head coach of the University of Missouri Tigers, that if he was told, hey, listen, you can't come into the state of Kansas and recruit any football players, he would be rather offended.
Yeah.
I think the people of Missouri would be offended. Now, folks in Kansas may not like it that Gary comes over and offers some of their very good athletes the opportunity to succeed in life. But it's anecdotal, but that's exactly what we're talking about here. Listen, if a governor of Connecticut felt comfortable that they have a better business climate, a better business environment, they're going to come to Texas and recruit those businesses. My deal is, have at it, boys. Let's see who has the best business climate here. Let's do it in a civil way. Let's do it in a thoughtful way. But competition is good. Is it uncomfortable? Yeah. I mean, I'd like to be there are governors out there that probably go, I just want to have all the jobs and do whatever I want to do, and please don't come in and try to make an uncomfortable environment for me. Well, you'll never be better if you do not have competition that pushes you. Listen, one of the reasons that we passed loser pay, we passed the most sweeping tort reform in the nation in 2003, and it's paid great dividends. We've got doctors and access to medicine that's better. The doctors pay substantially less in their liability insurance costs today than they did 10 years ago. We've got doctors that want to practice medicine in the state of Texas that relocate out of other states to come practice medicine in the state of Texas. That make sense. But my friend over in Louisiana, Bobby Jindal, Mary Fallon up in Oklahoma, Susana Martinez over in New Mexico, they put policies into their place or into their state that make their states more competitive. So in 2011, we had to come back as a legislature and go, you know what? These other states are starting to creep up on us from an economic environment standpoint. Let's pass loser pay to make Texas even more competitive when it comes to businesses so that they won't be frivolously sued. We did that. It made our state even more competitive. But is it uncomfortable to have to go back into the legislature and to pass these things and to promote them? Yes, in some cases. But the fact is, the men and women of this state, whether they own a business or whether they're hired by those businesses, have a better life for their family.
Absolutely. And Governor, not to interrupt, we're talking to Governor Rick Perry of the state of Texas here on the Steve Malzberg Show. You're doing this phenomenal job for your state and the promotion of your state in a country where, according to a new report that's out, 5 million workers are classified as long-term unemployed. 900,000 more have stopped looking for work altogether recently. This according to a left-wing group called the Urban Institute. You're not running for governor again. You haven't made any announcement regarding the presidency. Would you be, so let me ask it this way, would the economic policies that you've put in place in the state of Texas be able to be taken to the federal level, to the national level, with a person like you sitting in the White House?
Well, I'm a big believer that states need to make their decisions about their tax policy, their regulatory policies, their legal policy at the state level, and those states will compete against each other. Can the United States be more competitive? My gracious, yes, of course. I mean, for instance, we want to tax offshore money that's already been taxed once. I'd say bring it back in here at either a very small tax rate or for a period of time not even have a tax on that, as long as those dollars were going to create jobs and to create invested back in the U.S. economy. It would be a boon to the American economy. When you look at the oil and gas industry, and put policies into place. For instance, the XL pipeline. Let's get it built. We know we need that energy. We know we need to be more independent of these foreign sources of oil when it comes from the Middle East and places that are in turmoil. If there's a foreign source of oil that we ought to be working with, be the Canadians and the Mexicans, along with the United States domestic policy. So those are policies, regulatory climate, and tax policies at the federal level that can make a huge difference. And again, this is all about Americans having a better opportunity to take care of their families. Do you want government to kind of set the bar for you and say, this is as high up in the economic strata as you can ever be because government's going to decide all this? Or would you rather have the freedom to go have a job, to take care of your family, to keep more of that money, and you decide how that money gets spent, whether it's on a personal vacation or whether it's your kid's education or whether it's given to a charitable organization or the cultural arts?
Absolutely.
That is the position that we take in Texas, is that if the private citizens have policies that allow them to keep more of what they work for, they'll make the better decisions than government.
Governor, where are you in deciding whether or not to run for president in 2016?
Steve, it's obviously still a very viable option out there. Over the course of the next year, I would suggest to you, we'll make a decision about what our future plans will be post-governorship of Texas.
What do you think of Ted Cruz? What's your opinion on Ted Cruz?
Very capable, one of the great debaters of our time, I would suggest to you. Very committed, conservative, and does a good job of representing the Texas way of doing business, if you will, which is to free people from over-regulation and over-taxation, and he's fighting a good fight.
What would the debate be like between Governor Rick Perry and Senator Cruz?
Well, I got to think that Ted is a very well-trained, the guy has won national debate competitions, so I'd be more than happy to have some great debates with him about the future of America and economic policies and foreign policy and all the different things that are important to this country. And, we may do that someday. But the fact is we're partners right now working on trying to not only get America back on track, but to promote in his case, his home state, which is Texas, as I do on a regular basis as well.
Fair enough. Governor, great to talk to you, sir. I hope you'll come back soon.
We will, Steve. Godspeed, and look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. You stay